Hi, I'm Sam Clift. Welcome to my channel. I'm an artist and I help other artists to grow in skills and confidence with my online membership, and also help other artists and creatives grow a business that they really love, making some serious money. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how I created the details of this owl. Now, it might look a little bit complicated, and looking at the reference photo, it might put some people off, but actually, if you just think about the colours and the layering and then just add in detail at the very end that I'm going to explain in this video, then it's a little bit easier than you think it would be, and it takes a lot less time than you think it would. So I really hope you enjoy the video. I'm using dark grey Pastelmat and mainly Polychromos pencils, but I'm using the white luminance to start and then realising that the white Polychromos is actually brilliant on Pastelmat. So I'm building up through the lightest colours that I can see first of all, and not even thinking about going in with any details just yet. Going in with the burnt ochre on top and then adding a layer of the cold grey, just using that pencil really lightly, small circles, building up, adding quite a few layers and going in, working up through the cold greys, eventually to the cold grey 6. And you can see I'm using like a scribbly motion just to get a little bit of texture of the feathers in, blending with the burnt ochre in between the two layers, and then going in with the ivory just to add a little bit of depth to that white, going in with the warm grey 5 and adding some shadow, and then blending with the white Polychromos pencil, the cold grey 2, the burnt ochre, the ivory, and making sure that I get a really soft finish. And the only way to do this is by adding lots of layers. I'm going in with the cold grey 6 now and using again that scribbling technique so that you can see some of the lighter colours underneath. I'm just adding the little dots in, adding some white either side. So this is the most detail I put in yet. Everything else has been really soft, just scribbly motions with my pencil and not worrying too much about the details. So now I've got the dots in, I can work out where everything is. I'm adding the black and then I'm going in with the white underneath, and then I can darken up around these dots now and make sure that some of them are in shadow and some of them are lighter. I'm doing the same thing down here, working with the warm grey 3 and just adding a lovely layer of that, adding the burnt ochre in where it needs to be. Again, not thinking about any of the details yet, I'm just using a scribbly motion and then building up through the layers so that you can see some of the white pencil or the lighter pencil underneath, and then just using the pencils to slowly work my way through, using little scribbly lines backwards and forwards, just to make sure that I get this lovely texture. And the Pastelmat really helps with this. So this was a perfect subject for the Pastelmat. I'm not adding it all over. I'm going in a little bit darker in some areas, and I'm just adding more pencil, more layers. I'm not pressing any harder, using a very light hand, and then blending with the lighter pencils in between. Going in with the burnt ochre again just to add some detail here, and then I can use that scribbly technique again just to darken up some of the areas, especially in the shadows, to create the shape of the feathers. And you can see that I'm just going in with the lines, little dot details, and that's really the only detail that I'm putting in, and they were actually so much fun to create. I had to press quite hard to get the white to be nice and opaque, and then darkened it and outlined it with the dark sepia and also the Payne's grey. And then I go in and add another lighter layer with the cold grey 2, darkening up, mapping out the feathers, but not adding any detail. I'm just using that scribbly technique again. Look how easy this is. And you do have to add it a few times because otherwise it will just kind of blend into each other as you use the lighter colours. So using the scribbling technique and then going over the top with the colours like the burnt ochre and the Payne's grey and the cold grey 6, then I can create a really lovely dark look and build up through the textures as well. So I'm using that scribbly technique again with the lighter colours, adding the burnt ochre and then going in with the darker colours on top, so you've got a lovely transition, the change of colours, and it looks like you're spending hours and hours and hours adding this detail when actually I'm not. And I can move on quite quickly, especially with this Pastelmat, because I can add just that little scribbly technique to enable me to get the texture that I need. And I'm moving on now to the feathers that are a little bit more separated, and I'm using the same thing. I'm going in with that scribbly motion in between the feathers to create a shadow, and then I'm going in with just the white and the Payne's grey, and then eventually the black onto those little dots on the wings, and then I'm just lightening with the ivory here and then scribbling over the top again, adding a little bit of the burnt ochre just to add some lovely orangey tones into the feathers. And you can see it's pretty quick. The one thing that I really would say with this is that you need to use a light hand, you need lots of layers, and you need to take your time. Although this is quicker, it's still going to be slower than paints or anything else. Colour pencils are notoriously slow, and actually it's the slowness of them that I really enjoy. It makes you slow down, it makes your brain slow down. So I'm doing the same here. I'm just going over with the warm grey one and just adding lots of layers, and I can see my little outline underneath, so I know exactly what to do. I can add about 3 or 4 layers just to start to blend, and then I do exactly the same, going in with the scribbly motion with the darker colours, adding the Payne's grey and the cold grey 6s, warm greys, the burnt ochres, and then adding that lovely shadow there. And it's the same technique completely. It's just amazing how the texture was formed so easily by just using a few pencils. Going in again with the warm greys, the black for the dots, the Payne's grey, and you can see there is actually less colour in these feathers here, so I'm going with the lighter colours, and then I'm just really adding a lot of shadow in between the feathers and making sure that it looks like they are standing on top of each other, that they're layered. So you need to add the shadow in between the feathers, making sure that it looks like the next feather is laying on top. So you might need a little bit of highlight on the edge that I've done here with the white. With the white Polychromos, it's absolutely brilliant on Pastelmat. And then I'm darkening in between with the burnt ochre and the greys, the Payne's grey, and eventually the black if there are any really dark spots here as well. But there aren't too many colours on this one, there aren't too many textures, but overall it just looks like I'm putting every single detail in. And actually this drawing is about an A5, it's not very big, so you are limited to the amount of details that you can actually put in to this piece. And so this is a really quick way of getting around that and adding lots and lots of details. And here's the finished result. So you can see that it looks detailed and it looks like it's got form, but actually it's been quite simple, and I've only really put those dots in and the final details at the very end. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video and you'd like to see the full-time tutorial, I think it's about 12 or 13 hours of this barn owl, then it is available in my online membership, The Joy of Drawing. I'll put the link in the description box below. And if you did like the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. They will be posted every Tuesday, and for art business videos, they are posted every Friday. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.